Hey, how you doing? It's Clayton here from howtodrawcomics.net, bringing you another episode of Comic Talk. Today, I am with Rob Arnold, and the topic of today's conversation is going to be all about character design, what makes a great-looking character, and Rob and I have picked out our three favorite characters. We've got three each, and we're going to explain exactly why we think that they have been designed exceptionally well. And as to whether or not part of that selection will include Safespace and Snowflake, well, you just have to wait to find out.
Yes.
Rob is a bit of a troll, so he likes to use clickbait titles, like even more like hardcore clickbait titles than I do. So you can blame him for that one.
Yeah, fair enough. And we decided that Clayton's going to do like superheroes, and I'm going to do anime or manga characters.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to do anime characters though as well, but
Did you?
Well, I've got some of my favorite characters are anime characters.
Yeah, see, I've got this strange belief that you don't know anything about anime or manga.
Dude, Goku.
I feel
Dragon Ball Z.
that's exactly right. I feel the only one you've watched is Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, well, it's a great classic anime for the times, and Berserk. I love Berserk. That's a great anime.
Yeah. What else you got? Give me one more.
I like Ghost in the Shell. I saw this really cool anime once called Ergo Proxy that I never finished, but it looked really cool. But I didn't have to prove myself to you, Rob. All right.
This is good. This is good fun. So if people are watching in the comments, let us know what you think of our choices.
Yeah, Cyberfrog should have made it to the list. I wish I had have thought of that.
Damn
it.
Yes.
How you doing, everybody, by the way? Thanks for joining us. We are streaming on both YouTube and Facebook today. I've upgraded my StreamYard account because it ran out of hours. I'd been streaming too much, so they made me pay money now. But yeah, so hopefully we get a fair few viewers in today. All right, Rob, do you want to go first?
All right. This is a bit nerve-wracking. So for my third choice from an anime,
are you going to share your screen?
Yeah, just calm down. Getting there. My third choice is
it's anticlimactic.
It's coming. Gilgamesh. So this is from Fate Zero or Fate Stay Night, whatever you want to call it. He's just a really cool character, and it's more. I like him more of the concept of his powers as opposed to his actual physical appearance and design. But I got the video here, so we can have a quick look at his type of powers.
Oh,
so
cool.
here's this power called Gates of Babylon, and we'll see it in a second.
All right, let's get this full screen. What's a weeb? Okay, Rob. So what anime is this from?
It's from Fate Stay Night or Fate Zero. It's a pretty cool anime. So basically, he has this power called I think it's called Gates of Babylon, and he has every sort of treasure or weapon he's collected throughout time stored there, and then he can launch them through those little portal things at people. Which I think that's rad, man. I think that's cool.
Very nice.
He kills people without having to touch them, just through heaps and heaps of weapons. It's just wicked.
Yeah, it's funny because the thing with anime, man, is that they have these characters that, they don't look that tough, but then they've got these like super like OP powers that they just use to obliterate everybody with.
Yeah.
It's like big things come in small packages.
Yeah, so that's my first favorite. I think that he's just a cool character with cool powers. Not so
Yeah,
much like
awesome.
the visual design of how cool he is, but more of like the character creation concept is a cool move.
Yeah, nice. So we've actually got some people from the chat. Corey Barton, my bro, suggesting a few characters. Haunt is one of the best superheroes, I thought. Yeah, interesting concept. And Guts from Berserk. Yep, it's a good one. And then we have Ryuji from Persona 5. Cool. That's
All right,
awesome.
your turn.
Thanks, Connor. All right, so it's my turn. Mine are going to seem so cheesy compared to Rob's, like trendy anime stuff. But this is mine. I really like Judge Dredd.
Yes.
So,
I'll give you props
for those
for that.
of you, from those of you in the US, I don't know how popular Judge Dredd is over there. I'm assuming he's fairly popular, but he was like one of the only characters we had here in Australia growing up.
Yeah,
And
Phantom and Judge Dredd.
the Phantom
That's
and
what
Judge
it felt
Dredd.
like, anyway.
Yeah, that's all you'd get in the newsagents. And we didn't really have access to a whole lot of comic book stores a lot of the time where we grew up, unless you were like in one of the big cities. So this was our option. And luckily, Judge Dredd was a super badass comic book. It was like you could have the Phantom, which was like, for kids, it was appropriate for kids. But then you had Judge Dredd, which was for kids, but highly inappropriate for kids. You had like blood and guts and lots of gibbing, people getting blown apart.
Yeah,
but
you go.
One of the cool and interesting things about Judge Dredd, and one of the reasons as to why he works is, and as this applies to almost every well-designed character, it's his silhouette, right? So the big, vivid shapes that are used to compose the design. So if we look at Judge Dredd, you can see a very prominent, very clear shape that his helmet takes on. And you can see these big, sharp shapes used for his shoulder guards. And then he's got like the skin tight outfit, right? Which is fine. Like that could be compared to any regular masculine male body that is out there. But it's these other shapes within the design that make him unique and make him iconic. So that if you were to take out all the other details and turn him, completely to black, just the silhouette remaining, you could still tell it was Judge Dredd. You wouldn't need those interior details to tell you that was Judge Dredd. And of course you've got the other smaller elements like, the pouches and then the knee pads as well. And just the way in which they're designed, you can see that the knee pads almost look like giant shields, which goes hand in hand with the overall theme of him being the badassest cop on the street. So
I always thought his shoulders were the most iconic, apart from the badge itself. Like his shoulders, I think it's the eagle or the hawk shoulders. It doesn't show it on that, but that right pauldron on him, or the left one that we can see, it's blocked by his hand. Should be a bird of some description. It's very
totally. There is. I could have probably. It was hard finding shots of these characters, that kind of showed their whole body.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, and I think as well, I've picked designs of characters that were illustrated by very, I would say, talented artists. So I think that you can take a kind of crappy looking design and actually illustrate it quite well in a way that makes it look cooler than it otherwise would be. And likewise, I think you can take a really good design that is illustrated by someone that doesn't have a whole lot of skills, and it can kind of do a disservice to the design. So I think illustrative quality also comes into play. And if you can nail both of them, then you've got something special. You've got a presentation that people are going to engage with and that they're going to really, really love. You'd see Judge Dredd on the newsagent stand, and Nayland Malin said sometimes in the library at school, and it'd catch your eye straight away, like as a kid. And kids are very, if you want to know whether or not you have a cool character design, show a young person, show like a 10-year-old or a 6-year-old, and if their eyes light up and they get excited about it, then you know that you've hit the money.
Yeah, Judge Dredd is such a cool. I've read so much Judge Dredd. It's like my uncle had like stacks and stacks of it, and I feel so lucky because it was so good. Like just as a kid, like having all those cool little details, like I think his lawgiver gun with all the different settings, like the high explosive and the was it heat seeker and the dum rounds that bounce off walls and stuff. You're just like, that is so cool. It was so awesome.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah,
there was just such great stories, and the cool thing about 82,000 is that it had a Judge Dredd comic in there every time, but then it had all these other weird, like dark sci-fi stories that were throughout it. It was kind of a compilation of different stories. But yeah, just a dark and gritty comic. All right, that's my first one.
hang
Rob?
on, I haven't finished with this yet.
Okay, all right.
They also had the judges, the dark judges, which were I thought they were designed fantastically, and I would believe 1000% that the Batman Who Laughs is a rip-off of Judge Death.
Which one was that? Sorry,
The Batman Who Laughs and Judge Death. Let's have a look.
No, I agree with that, man. I thought of that as well.
Right, so this is Judge Death, right?
Yep. All right.
Okay, hang on. Yep. Judge Death.
Yep, that's Judge Death. Cool.
Yeah.
Search history. Let's look at
scary,
Rob's search history.
Probably should have.
Yeah, I know.
Hang on. I'm getting there.
Come on, man. You better prove your point here. If you're going to make wild accusations.
Very similar, yeah? Don't you think?
It's a very, very similar vibe. Absolutely, man.
Like, they've changed this head grill thing here, right? And they've put ears on it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only difference.
It looks like a different version of the same character. You're right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
So if you haven't read Judge Dredd, give it a go. It's good. There's so much of it. If you're looking for something to read, it is fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's something different as well. It's not anything like what you would get in mainstream comic books. It's a bit more. Again, for some reason, they would sell it to kids, but it was a bit more adult orientated.
Yeah, they had so many weird and just crazy storylines, like the League of Fatties. Did you ever read that?
No.
Fatties. Oh my god! It's basically these giant obese people, like huge, right? But they were so big that they had like a unicycle on their stomachs, and they would run around with the unicycle, keeping their stomachs upright, and they'd eat people. Right, that's just one of the League of Fatties. It was so funny.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, they had heaps of stuff like that. And
so unique.
Call Me. Did you ever read Call Me Kenneth? He was from Judge Dredd. He was like a robot. Also great.
Oh, cool,
anyway,
man.
On to mine again.
All right, let's do it. What do you got up next?
All right, so this is my second favorite character, and I think probably the best bad guy story arc that has been made until the end, where they completely wrecked it. Like, the build up though of this character is sensational. So if you haven't seen Bleach and you're wanting to, I don't know, mute this, but let's just have a quick look at this. So this is Aizen.
Oh, there we go. Oh, he looks cool.
それを知る者はおらへんのに。アイゼン隊長を殺せるのは僕だけや。だが残念だ、キン。君がこの程度で私を殺せると思ってません。アイゼン隊長の中に置いてきました。何？あれ、言うたほど長く伸びません。伸び縮みするとき、一瞬だけ塵になります。分かってもろたみたいですね。アイゼン隊長の心臓の中に残してきたのです。殺せ、神死にの闇。貴様。
Cool.
Yeah, I want to see it where he. So this is him at the start of the show, right? And this is what he's developed into character-wise. So some really good character development.
Yeah, nice. A lot of the time, the best characters are the ones that do change throughout the course of their journey.
Yeah,
I think that you know that's what story is about, man. Transformation.
And let me bring up. So I mean, that's another. He used to have glasses on when he first started, and he was just like he was part of a captain squad in Bleach, so he was just like a high-ranking captain, all right? But he had his own ambitions, and he was extremely powerful and manipulated and used his way to get that Hogyoku, which would make him immortal.
Right.
But like like it's him again, further on in the series, more developed in a different way.
So he completely changes.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about him. Like, he looks like a unassuming, geeky type captain guy, and turns into this complete badass by the end of it. So
I've heard a lot of good things about Bleach, actually, Rob. It's another one I got to check out.
Yeah, it frustrates me, man, because they did him so well, and then at the end they did him so wrong. They just killed him. It wasn't good.
Brutal.
Yeah.
What do you think? So Blue Jay says, have you seen Wrath from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? Best villain, in my opinion.
Haven't. No. I'll give it a watch. I'm watching Hunter x Hunter at the moment, and is it Hisoka? He's cool, man. I love him. He'll be in the honorable mentions. I'll bring him up. He's really cool. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
What do you think of Aizen's design?
I think it's pretty good. Zoom in a little bit for me, Rob.
It's unique.
Nice.
Like it's not like everything else, which is good.
Yeah. Has he got like an eye patch that wraps around half of his head?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
That's cool. And one of the obvious standout attributes about this guy is his shoulder / neck / chest item, clothing item. Kind of sits on top of there, really breaks up the silhouette a little bit and makes him unique. And you do want large, interesting shapes like that, I think, throughout a design. And it could even come down to the way in which you shape the anatomy of a character. It can come down to their hairstyle. Goku is a great example of that. You'll be able to tell who he is from a million miles away just based upon his hairstyle. But if you think about even simpler characters like Mickey Mouse and Homer Simpson, those guys, even without any of those interior details, you're going to be able to tell who they are. And I think you've picked some cool characters, Rob. I do think there's other anime characters out there, though, that are even more iconic and more recognizable than this guy.
But I'm not going for iconic and recognizable. I'm going for, coolest design, coolest concept type. That's where I'm at in my headspace.
Yeah. So you're going for not only what they appear like, but also
Mhm.
their actual, backstory and what they can do, their
The whole,
abilities.
the whole package. Like you can go Goku, yeah. Everyone knows who Goku is, and he looks cool. But I mean, he's fairly generic to me. He's like the Superman.
So what's unique about this guy? Like, what
Well,
can he do?
he's got a blade, and I think it has puts you into an illusion state. So you'll be attacking him, but you'll be attacking from the wrong direction or something along those lines. So like you'll try and hit him, but you actually won't be in front of him trying to hit him. You'll be actually over there hitting someone else. That kind of stuff. So he can control reality to an extent. Someone in
That's pretty
chat
cool.
could explain it a lot better than I could. So,
Yeah. Well, I think you've actually hit on a really good point here, Rob.
there you go. His blade can control all 5 senses. That's way better explanation. Thank you, Connor.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that is very interesting. I think as well, there's something to be said about a basic, simplified concept. So if we think about Judge Dredd, for example, who we were just talking about before, right, that is like ultra generic. But it's almost like that ultra genericness is what makes it so badass and cool. Like it's because it's basic and simple to get that you kind of connect with it straight away. And I'm sure it's the same with this guy. Like the concept of him is simple. It should be easy to sum up within a sentence, right? I actually think Goku was inspired by Superman, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, like I'm drawn way more to the villains than the heroes, I'd say.
So is this guy a villain?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. All right, your turn.
Nice one. All right, it's my turn now. So I'll get my next one up. So this is a character called Aphrodite IX. I'm not sure. I would just always call it Aphrodite IX. So she's an interesting character, but that was created by, I believe it was David Finch and I thought it was Silvestri, but it looks like this guy here. Anyway, really cool character. So she's actually an android, but she's an android assassin, and essentially each night she'll go out and she'll assassinate someone else. But she'll wake up in the morning and she won't have any recollection of it. It'll be like a bad dream to her. So it's a very interesting concept. But mostly the reasons I like her beyond that basic story is because she's really sexy and she's super cool looking. And that is one of the primary attributes about the character that plays into the story is she's supposed to be alluring so that she can seduce her targets and more easily complete her missions. So yeah, the overall design of her is there's a mix of and it was the same with Judge Dredd. There's a mix of simplicity with complexity. So this is important because that combination creates a sense of contrast throughout the design, which means you might look at her face and even her upper body, which is really nothing more than a what is it, a crop top, kind of a singlet, and the rest is just her skin, right? So that's pretty, like, there's not a lot of detail going on within that general area. But then if you look at her arms, you've got an increased level of complexity and intricacy. Same with her legs here, and so it's you've got areas for the eyes to rest, and then areas for the eyes to engage a little more, and it just creates a nice rhythm throughout the design. Creates that visual interest. You don't ever want a design which is all super complex and detailed because it tends to flatten things out and bring it all to the same level almost. It tends to start to lack a certain amount of depth. You also don't want a super simplistic design either because you do still want to make it look interesting. The other cool thing about Aphrodite is that her color scheme also comes into play within the design in a pretty big way. So one of the first things that's going to stand out about her is, of course, her green hair, like this lime green hair. She's also got a lime green little dot on her face, which is a pretty prominent design attribute that comes up again and again for her. And then you've got the skirt, the yellow skirt, with a bit of kind of brown to it, and that plays off really well in contrast with the green hair. And then the rest is kind of like black and white. So black and white almost goes with any color, while at the same time introducing a nice amount of contrast. So, yeah, man, illustrated by David Finch. Again, simple attributes within this design, some more complex ones. But, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's really amazing.
Here's a question from Rocky56. Would you say the silhouette / the way the character looks is more important than a character's power and backstories, or are they both the same?
Well, the thing is, and that's a really good question, you don't always know the backstory of a character and their abilities at face value. The first experience you're going to have of that character is their visual appearance. So if that doesn't pull the viewer in and it's not intriguing enough, then you run the risk of them becoming disengaged with that character. In other words, they might close the book, or they might stop watching the anime if that initial spike of interest isn't present. So although you can have very simple looking characters with very complex background stories, like One Punch Man, for example, is a very basic looking character, but with a very interesting backstory. It's a great anime, one of the best. But still, if you can have both, a great looking character that's interesting, that's intriguing, that also has an awesome concept behind it and backstory, then you guarantee that the audience is going to be interested enough in the character to actually become involved in the story behind them. So that'd be my take on it. What about you, Rob? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're pretty much spot on. Like, if it doesn't look good and it's not going to interest people, but then at the same time, if you don't have a good backstory, it's all power. In my opinion, it's not going to hold anyone's attention. So you need both. For sure.
Yeah, you do need both. I agree with that.
Eon001 said, I thought it was the top 4 redesigns of Safespace and Snowflake. We should so do that. That's a great idea, Eon. We'll do that. There are actually some really good ones out there.
There is. There absolutely is.
For off the top of my head, for one.
Well, amazing. Yeah, you can check out the YouTube channel, actually, because I did a whole video on Andrew's take on Safespace and Snowflake. It's actually gone viral.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, that's Aphrodite, man. Great comic book. One of my favorites. Not too long. The initial original David Finch run is the best, in my opinion.
Yep. All right. Honorable mentions.
All right, Rob. Let's do it.
All right. I've got a few. Okay. So this is Minato from Naruto.
Very iconic.
He's just cool, man. I think he looks great for starters. Like, it's a interesting design with the flame cloak thingo, the dual kunais, the yellow hair. His nickname, the Yellow Flash. He's got wicked powers, man. My favorite is, it's called, I think it's Flying Raging Thunder. But basically, these kunais, he puts tags on them, and then he'll throw them in all different locations. He can also mark like the ground or whatever he wants with the mark, and then he can teleport to the kunais instantly. So it's just wicked.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, the thing I always remember about this guy is his hairdo.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Naruto. I know my brothers got really into it. They watched the whole damn thing.
Yeah,
but I still recognize this guy.
Yeah, he has a fight scene with a guy called Toby at the time that is just, it's incredible fight scene. I love it. All right, and next honorable mention would be Guts from Berserk. There you go,
Oh,
Corey.
nice.
Happy now. Giant
Awesome.
sword. He also has like that gun hand, doesn't he? That he can shoot from.
Yeah, he does.
Mm.
So actually, I got a massive statue of Guts behind me.
Do you?
Yeah, man. It's right over there. Put this down. There he is.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty mad.
Nice.
Cost me an arm and a leg, that one.
Bet it did. Yeah.
But you got to waste your money on impractical things.
Mm.
So yeah, he's a really cool character, and one of the awesome things about him is the evolution that he goes through along his journey. He's one of those characters that we were talking about that goes through a massive transformation, and also in Berserk, it's the relationships between the characters, and I guess a lot of anime also uphold that same value. It's the relationship between the characters a lot of the time that make it so memorable.
Yeah, and he just looks cool. I mean, who can't relate to wanting to have a giant two-handed sword and hack things in half? I think everyone can find that appealing.
Totally, man. He's huge too. He's got such a cool attitude. Like, he's just a badass, man. He does not give two shits. Like, he's awesome.
And
he's like so manly.
Recently, didn't they? They redid this series recently or something.
Yeah, they redid the series, and it sucked. Like, it was all 3D, and the hand-drawn animation, you just can't beat that, man.
Yeah.
So it got universally panned, unfortunately, and it was just a bit of a shame, because it's a cool story.
Yeah. All right. And the final honorable mention for me is going to be Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. So he looks ridiculous. Yeah, I get that. But he's one of those characters that gets like sexually turned on at the thought of fighting and killing people of equal strength or better than him. And he's so cool. Like, he's just, once you watch it, you're like, yeah, this guy's
I can see why you relate with this guy, Rob.
Yeah. He reminds me of Biffshot from Replicator a little bit. So I just think he's a cool character. Excuse me.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and then we have Safespace and Snowflake, which get the honorable mention of probably the worst designed characters ever created.
Oh, wait, what? You're going to do that? Don't you have another character there that you're going to show us?
I'm going to do my number one. That's it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, well, should we do that, and then we'll do the dishonorable mentions?
Okay, sure.
Okay, sweet.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. All right, cool. So, I'll jump over to my next one now. Oh, have you done your final one?
No, honorable mentions.
I don't have any honorable mentions.
Well, you've got 10 seconds.
It was hard enough for me to pick.
Okay, let's ask chat. Honorable mentions. Superheroes or anime or manga. You can choose. And
let's see.
We've got Cloud from Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, he's cool. I didn't play that a lot. I really like the Mortal Kombat characters. I think they've got cool designs, especially Mortal Kombat 10. So we've got Sub-Zero, like all of them. All of them look great, and they all got pretty cool powers. It doesn't take a whole lot for me to get into a character, as long as they look good. Then I'll explore them a little bit.
So this is Cloud. I haven't played Final Fantasy, actually.
Yeah, see, he's got a great design.
Yeah, giant sword, fun hair.
Yeah.
Sideways, DC Comics. Let's have a look at him.
Sideways? Who's that?
Oh, yeah. This dude. That's interesting. I have no idea what his deal is, though. Do you like that concept?
Yeah, that looks yeah, I mean it's cool. I like the way it's been broken up and stuff, but it doesn't have a majorly unique silhouette, I would say. So again, if you took out all the details, he could be easily mistaken for Spider-Man or what have you. Actually, I do have an honorable mention. I got one.
Good.
Okay, so might be controversial, but I really do like Cyberfrog.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Cyberfrog fan.
You
I actually
are.
love this
Yeah,
guy.
you certainly are. You certainly are.
He is. So the cool thing about Cyberfrog is, one, he's like a creature, right? He's a creature character.
You love him.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Like, I loved Biker Mice back in the day. Loved the Street Sharks. I really miss characters like that. So to actually have
Samurai Pussycats.
no, I didn't watch them.
No.
Hey, what's up, Wildcard Productions? So the thing is, now there's a comic out there that's illustrated beautifully by Ethan Van Sciver, and it's a character that is an actual creature. And the cool thing about him is that he not only looks really, really cool, like could you get cooler than a half cyborg, like half robot frog? A half robot, half frog character, right? But he's also got so much movement and gesture and energy incorporated into his poses. There's so much you could do with this guy. You could compose him into some seriously complex stances, and just the amount of movement that he's capable of, it gives him so much potential that as far as what you could do to illustrate him. And he's got like this Spider-Man type appeal to him.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, like, the Spider-Man has that fluidity of motion, which Cyberfrog shares. We've got some really good suggestions here, man. Like Doctor Doom is great. Venom, Silver Surfer, Spawn, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I haven't seen that yet. I will watch it.
Cool.
But I would take your Cyberfrog and I'd raise you a Salamandroid.
Yeah, Salamandroid is cool as well, so we'll get him up. Yeah, he is a cool character. Again, it's another creature character that just it time warps me back to the 90s. When you just had comic books that were a bit of a laugh, they were a bit of fun, and they weren't supposed to be serious. Like, I don't know. This to me is just a bit more interesting than humanoid characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Salamandroid, very, very cool character as well. He's Cyberfrog's sidekick. So, I mean, what a duo.
Nightcrawler is another suggestion. He's a cool design.
Yeah, Nightcrawler, very, very similar in terms of the range of movement that he's capable of as well.
I think a lot of the X-Men are actually really well designed.
Yeah.
Interesting ways.
Yeah, Wolverine is a cool one. He's got a very vivid silhouette, instantly recognizable. That's why he's a classic. That's why he's so popular. Storm's cool, yeah.
I like Gambit as well. Like, he's an interesting design.
Yeah, you're right, man. All the X-Men have some pretty damn cool designs.
Except for Jubilee.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wow. Look at this really old Salamandroid comic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that existed. Anyway, pretty good stuff, man. All right. So what's your last
number one,
Rob? Show us your number one.
Is actually my actual favorite character from anything, and it's. Should I show you the video or the pictures?
Show us the video and the pictures. It's all good.
でしょう。
Cool. So who is this character?
So this is Pain. We're actually looking at this guy here.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
So, he has lots of crazy powers, but the ones he's most known for is he's got this ability called like push pull, where he can pull people or push them away, which is what he's doing now. He's pulling him into another one of himself. So, he's got so many cool powers. So he's called the 6 Paths of Pain. All right. So technically, there are 6 of him, but it gets more complicated than that too, because, all right, these are the 6 paths here. So and each one has a different abilities. Like one can summon creatures. That guy's got the push pull. One like shoots like rockets and that kind of stuff, and so on and so forth. Right.
Nice. Zoom in a bit.
Hang on.
Can't see them.
Yeah, and they're all designed differently.
Nice.
But this is the main of the 6 Paths of Pain. And I just think design-wise, he looks amazing.
So what do you think? Like, what part about the design do you like?
It's completely different to what you see normally. I love all this, like the metal studs that run through his face and ears, and even here. His hair is it stands out. And his eyes. I see Rob, man of culture. Which is the Rinnegan, which is another thing. If you're in, Rocky says what makes him iconic is his piercings and bright orange hair really stands out. I just think visually, like when I saw him, like I'm like that dude looks awesome. He looks so cool. But here's the really cool thing, right? So these 6 Paths of Pain, they all can share, like they all have the same vision, so they can see what each of them is seeing because they've all got the same eyes. So you know, one of them's getting attacked from behind stealth wise, and the other one can see it. The one that's getting attacked can move because he knows it's happening because the other guy saw it, so he sees it. So it's a little confusing, but it's really cool. But the really cool thing is, this isn't the main guy. This isn't the main guy. The main guy actually is this guy, which is Nagato, and he controls them all from a different location. Right?
This guy looks familiar.
Yeah. So you can see where I got inspired by one of my characters. And so he controls them all from a safe location. And I just think, man, like mainstream people, they're not creating stuff like this. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, they're not. And that's probably the cool thing about the this video, actually, this live stream that we're doing, is so far we've been showing characters that haven't really popped up in mainstream comic books all that much. They're kind of a bit more underground, or they're anime. And I think that the reason anime is so popular and it does so well is because of the depth of the stories, the well-designed characters that all have pretty powerful silhouettes. I have to say, like, they're all very recognizable characters, whether it be because of the color or the way in which their costumes are composed, their values are broken up, their shape. They're all very unique, and then they're unique enough for you to get involved in their backstory, and then that's when there's just no escape. Then you're in it. Then you're a fan of that series. So yeah, man, really great stuff.
He's my favorite character from any manga. He just I think he looks the best. He has a really interesting and complicated power set, and it's not like it is with like the mainstream comics where you've got Superman who's got speed, strength, endurance, flight. These are all really different and well crafted and thought out powers. It's a completely different ball game.
No, absolutely, man. It is. It's very, very different. And the cool thing is that it appeals to kids as well. Like you would think these complex stories would be a little bit more, something us adults would be into, and we are. But it's also something that kids get into as well. So you're kind of onto something, Rob, taking your inspiration and influence from anime to design the characters for your book.
Yeah, well, yeah, My Hero, Rocky says 56, My Hero Academia has some really cool designs in it too. I don't know what the dude's name is, but the guy that has like explosive powers is pretty sweet. But with this Pain, he's a member of the Akatsuki, which they all wear this black flower cloud design outfit, which makes a really strong silhouette as well. Very menacing.
Yeah, I noticed.
All of the Katsuki have dope designs. It's very true. You could have chosen multiple characters from that. Sasori, yeah, he's sweet, but Pain is like he's my man.
That's awesome, man. Really great stuff.
Clayton, number one, it better be good because you've got to have something good to top this.
Hey, I do. All right, I do. It's already been mentioned though. So my number one is actually Spawn.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So when I was growing up, I didn't collect a whole lot of comic books because I didn't really like Superman. I didn't like Spider-Man that much. I didn't really like, even Batman was cool, but I don't know, I wasn't that into him enough to actually buy comic books and collect them of him. But the ones I did love was the Phantom and Judge Dredd, as we mentioned, because that's all we had here in Australia. But then Spawn, from a young age, just grabbed my attention because I don't know, he was unlike any other character I'd ever seen. It might have been his powerful silhouette, as we mentioned. You've got his cape is obviously one of the major influences of his shape here. You can see the big collar coming up behind him. It just makes him look so majestic, so intimidating. And then you've got the big shoulder guards and the cape flowing behind him that almost seems alive. It's got all this movement within it. And then you've got this asymmetry within the design. So unlike many other superhero characters that we see, he has either side of him is designed slightly differently. It's varied. So you can see this massive lower arm guard, this forearm guard that he's got on the left-hand side of his body here. And then on this side, it's a much smaller, more like a wristband. You've also got the bicep band around here with the horn sticking out of it. He had this really cool gothic appeal to him. It was very dark, very gloomy kind of comic, and it was ultra violent. So there was a lot of kind of adult themes in it, a lot of blood, a lot of guts, and it was unlike anything that anyone had seen in comic books at the time. So Spawn was a huge standout to me. And as I said, I only just saw the cover, and it was a tiny little image of the cover in like a K-Zone magazine back in the day, and it was a small advertisement. And I had to hunt it down. I didn't know who Spawn was, but I saw that image. And I'm like, that looks cool. And I saw the movie, and then the artwork inside was just absolutely gorgeous. And
have you seen
I don't know
the new cover, was it 300 cover?
Yes, there was a few, I think.
Let's see if I can find a good.
Yeah, show us, man. And just the chains, right, and the skulls. Yeah. He's a dark character, and I love that. I'm really drawn to that. I have a bunch of Spawn figures on the shelf behind me.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
All right, I've got it.
Cool. Let's check it out.
Oh,
there you go. Zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, hang on.
Cool.
I think that's one of the best design covers.
Yeah, nice. Oh, so that's J. Scott Campbell did that one, did he?
Yeah, it must be.
Cool. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, the cloak wraps around. frames
Totally.
it. It's beautiful. Yeah, I never got into Spawn because I don't know, I just missed him. And then the first kind of encounter I had with him was the movie, which was it was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the movie wasn't great, actually. I liked it as a kid. I thought it was so cool. But then yeah, it got panned, obviously. And Todd McFarlane is going to make a new one at some point. I believe he had Jamie Foxx enlisted to play Spawn, but I don't know if that's going ahead anymore. So Connor says Spawn and the Jackie from the Darkness are certainly my personal image favorites. Yes, the Darkness was also a totally badass character, very similar vein to Spawn. So Nayland Malin says, I'd be interested to hear what your opinion of McFarlane's style is. He's one of my all-time favorite artists, but I'm really conflicted about his style sometimes, mainly with faces and hulky anatomy. McFarlane was one of my earliest influences. I loved the way he worked, mostly because of the incredible amount of detail and intricacy he pumped into his illustrations. In saying that, I think his art has aged a little bit. I don't think he's made as much progress in terms of his artistic development as, say, Mark Silvestri has and Jim Lee, and both of them have clearly kept their skill set up and really tried to make sure that they keep it polished. I just think Todd McFarlane's a busy man, and also he's at a point where he's that popular that he probably doesn't feel a huge motivation or push to exceed beyond the artistic level that he's at. We all know that Todd McFarlane has a more than healthy ego. But yeah. So, all right. So Sundin says, "How you doing, Sundin? I would play Spawn any day." I can't hear you, Rob.
I got one more honorable mention. I turned my mic off. I forgot to turn it back on.
Did you? Okay. Add it in there. Let's do it.
Judge Fear.
Judge Fear, hey?
Yeah, so he's from Judge Dredd as well, but he's one of the Dark Judges, not Judge Death. He's the most popular of the Dark Judges, but Judge Fear, he was cool. I thought he was a cool design. He opens up his face and shows you, the thing that you find most terrifying in the world.
Yeah.
And he also throws
awesome.
Giant steel traps like his shoulder pads here. Actually, let me just use my mouse. The shoulder pads here, they're like bear traps, and he throws them. Wicked.
Yeah, that's just badass, man. Love that. So Sundin says, "Hey Clay, what's the origin story of Spawn? Like, where does he come from, and what universe does he explore?" So he's in the Image universe. He was kind of the flagship character for that company when it started, and he is basically a military soldier, I believe, who ended up getting killed and sent to hell because of all the people that he had murdered in his life, and then he got turned into one of Hell's soldiers, a Hell Spawn, and sent back to Earth. But he wasn't too happy about that, so he kind of rebelled against Hell and fought all the demons and monsters that came after him for it. So a story of condemnation. He gets back to Earth. His best mate is married to his wife. Brutal. But yeah.
Chat, what did you think of our top three each? We did okay? We messed it up.
Right.
We missed anyone that we should have had in there that's better than our choices? Let us know.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think we've got some honorable dismentions, don't we, Rob?
Yeah.
And this, we're trying to tie it back to the title because Rob is, a big title beta. Click beta. So, obviously, Snowflake and Safespace have been all around the internet recently. You can't hide from them, mate.
Oh, but it hurts me. It hurts me. Oh, Corey, mate, got to give it up with guts. It's all right. He's like, it should not have been a side choice.
Oh man, yeah. So first, I want to come at this from a constructive point of view because these characters just cop so much shit, right? But the reason as to why they don't quite click with a lot of people is because if we take our attention to their silhouette and we expand on what we were saying about that before, say that we turn these like we take out all the details, we fill them in with black. What do you end up with? Well, you end up with a very like generic outline of any regular person. Like they're simply unrecognizable based on their silhouette alone, and so they're not as iconic and they're not as memorable at all. What probably makes them memorable, if anything, would be their color that is added in later on, but you really shouldn't have to lean on color to come up with a memorable design. That should be an afterthought.
I don't know how anyone can like these, like from a design point of view, at all. Like, what age group are they going for? It's like it's Ben 10, except crap.
Yeah, it is.
It's just it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where the company making the product just wasn't listening to their audience very well and wasn't giving them something that they really wanted. And the backlash was massive, actually. They put this out, the trailer for the new Warriors, on their YouTube, and it got just hardcore obliterated as far as the amount of dislikes were concerned.
So did Gotham Knight. Did you see that? Gotham Knight?
Yeah, Gotham Knight. I was like, I almost did a video on that all on its own because it did my head in. I'm like, what the hell? Why have you created a comic called Batman here that has nothing to do with Batman? It was like the creators compared it to a cross between Batman and Gossip Girl.
Oh, it's just I don't know where they're getting these ideas from. It's just that's a whole nother video. But like, what are they going for? Explain this to us, Clayton. What are they going like? Who is their target audience? Like, are they trying to target mainstream comic buyers? Like, are they trying to target people that are fans of X-Men and Superman, or are they trying to get like Ben 10 fans, like, you know, that age group? I don't understand it, because if they're trying to get Superman and X-Men fans, these are the worst bloody design things I've ever seen in my entire life. If they're trying to get Ben 10 fans, like that age group, like, okay, I guess, like,
but that's the thing, right? Like, you might be going for that age group, but the thing is like they forget we still liked Judge Dredd when we were freaking 6 years old, 8 years old. Yeah. like a cool character is a cool character, full stop. If they made them look actually like more interesting and badass, like people say that's a cop out. Oh, how do you make something look cool and badass? Well, it's like a very obvious distinction. It means it's not boring. It's interesting to look at, which, these characters aren't. Like, they're two separate characters who I get are twins, but they've got the exact same hairstyle, the exact same costume. And it's just like,
like, I'm not an artist. Like, I can draw a little bit. I'd probably give myself like a 5 or 6 out of 10, like, around that level. And I reckon I could draw something better than this.
Yeah, no, totally. I think you could too.
Look at their butts. Like, what is that? It just looks like a line, a squiggle line. What is that?
Yeah. Look, I don't know. Maybe Marvel's budget was just like nothing when they were paying the character designer this time around. I don't know.
I've seen some of his other stuff. Like, he's done Wonder Boy, and that's a train wreck.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah. It's just
it's a bit unfortunate.
Like, share my screen again, right? Can you compare it to these two? Can you compare that screen to this screen?
Which one? Your screen?
Yeah.
Can I get them both up? I don't think I can, but
all right, just show mine. So this is Clayton's design of one of my characters, right? Clayton doesn't work for Marvel. How much
I don't.
better is this?
Zoom in a little bit.
Like, it's like
Yeah,
you're
it's better.
joking, right?
Totally. See, if I was an 8-year-old kid, I'd be buying this.
Hell yeah. It's like, who's this cool assassin chick? Why is her face covered? What does she use those two swords for? What is this cool gauntlet thing on her hand here? You know?
Yeah. Totally, man. There's a lot about the character as well, that that their backstory is told through the design itself. So again, we've included those swords there, and we've got the pouches, we've got the outfit. Like the little outfit tells us who she is. Like she's an agile, elite assassin type character, and everything about her tells us that. Her backstory, which I'm sure you don't want to give that away, Rob, but let's just say her arm, that gauntlet, has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
So so yeah, man. Oh wow.
What?
We're getting a lot of comments. It's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
Oh, Ed's here.
Yeah, well, I have to get it on. Look, this has become such a meme.
Yeah, where are organs?
But they're hiding at her bottom.
It's got correct lines and curves. It's not just a line with the slight bend in it. It's terrible. God, don't start me.
No, that's it. So yeah, like I think that you've really got to put effort into a character design. Like this is, we're at an hour, so we'll close out here. But what I'd like to just end this with is a character designer's position on any project, whether it be for a comic book or a movie or a video game. You've got to realize that is the most important role is in the pre-production phase of that project. The concept artist's responsibility to come up with a character that is going to attract the attention of people. It's going to say a little bit about who the character is, what they do, what their abilities are. Because I mean, there's going to be people redrawing that character over and over again from that point onward, as is what is happening with your comic book right now, Rob.
Yeah, dude, you put more detail in this one boot than they put in the whole sheet.
Yeah,
like more individual lines. It's crazy.
Well, I'm glad you're a fan, Rob. And this character did cop a little bit of controversy, but I think it was positive. There's this positive controversy and there's negative controversy. Snowflake and Safespace, they unfortunately got panned controversially in a negative light, where just nobody liked them.
Yeah.
At least with Ghost here.
You look at Andrew Huerta's design, and if they went with something that was designed that well, then it wouldn't have caused such a big fuss. But because they look terrible, it's like rubbing salt on the wounds.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I like what Eddie Winkler says. Skin is an organ. Great.
I'm on my third comic. Clayton is doing his first comic. Marvel have done 30,000 comics. You know? This is the level of quality that we as independent creators are putting out. And that is what Marvel are putting out now. And that's disgusting.
Well, it's not they're not making it harder for independent comics to succeed, I would say. I think, especially right now with what we're facing around the world, comic book stores closing down, Diamond closing down, comic books being suspended for an indeterminate amount of time. I mean, it's never been a better time, in my opinion, to start creating your own comic books. And if you've got the passion there to actually put the time and effort into a great looking design, a great looking book, you've got every chance of the world in succeeding on a crowdfunding platform like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Of course, you need to be a little bit good at marketing. You need to make connections, build bridges. But, that aside, there's a lot of chance for success here if you want to make your own comic book.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Shall we cap it off there?
You got a few questions in
do
chat?
we?
Yeah, if you
All
want to.
right. Let's get them up.
Dude, I've had Is That Nova from Warframe so many times. I don't even. I'm gonna look it up. I haven't even seen who Nova from Warframe is. So I'm gonna look it up now.
All right. So, what's your take on female forms? Marvel's trying to bulk up their female characters and make them look more masculine, but I think it's a big turnoff. Yeah. So, you're probably the most obvious thing you're referring to there, in particular, is that of She-Hulk. I've seen a few designs for her, and you're right. It does look unappealing. One of the cool things that I like to see in a character is a female character is the one that looks powerful, but also beautiful. And that goes for dudes as well. You know, you want powerful looking guys who also look attractive. And, you know, visual appeal goes a long way in a visual medium. I'll just leave it at that. I know that Marvel are attempting to include more diverse characters, so that people can relate with them on a deeper level. But the thing is, you get to a point where it becomes so relative to real life that it becomes boring, and that escape that you get from comic books is no longer present anymore. You know, we don't read comic books because we want to experience more reality. We read comic books because of the fantastic worlds that those stories take place in, and the fantastic characters that we get to be when we're reading that story. So I think that they're actually they're taking away the philosophy of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee there a little bit, and creating characters that are just bland and generic as a result. And it's funny because they're striving to attain the opposite to that, but in a funny way, they've achieved anything but it.
Yeah, and you know, like with males in superhero comics, like you want to envision that you're them. You want to be that giant ripped dude with the cool superpowers. And you want to have that attractive female person as, I don't know, your love interest character to get behind. You don't.
Yeah, totally.
Like you said, it's a fantasy. It's not real life. We understand it's not real life.
Yeah, and the other things as well. What's that?
You don't need to gatekeep us.
No, exactly. And the other thing as well, psychologically, the things that we don't like about ourselves that are less than ideal, we hate seeing in other people and other characters. So, you know, if you've got an insecurity that's popping up within a character, you're going to tend to be turned off by it, which is, you know, that's just the way that we work. That's why bullies exist, because, you know, they pick on people that share the qualities about themselves that they don't like. But anyway.
One thing that really grinds my gears is like they just keep redesigning the same characters, and they'll make female versions of the characters. Just make some good female characters from scratch.
Yeah, man. Totally. Bring them into that world.
Yeah.
Bring them into Batman. Bring them into...
It's like that though. Like they have Batman, so that, oh, let's have Batwoman. They have Superman. Oh, let's have Superwoman. And Supergirl. Like, just come up with something new.
Yeah, totally.
There's not many female characters that stand on their own. You got like Wonder Woman.
That's it, man.
But there's not many.
Aphrodite.
Yeah.
So Connor says, what is your biggest influences, Clayton? I'm really liking this art. Comes from a fair few places, but I really love David Finch.
Rob Arnold.
I like Mark Silvestri and Michael Turner. They're probably my two top influences. And then below that, we've also got J. Scott Campbell, Jim Lee, and Stephen Platt. They're also pretty big influences for me. And, you know, over time, you study those artists, those people you admire, and you try to incorporate different aspects of their work that you like into your own. And then you add a bit of your own flavor, and eventually it becomes your own style. And I feel like I've definitely reached that point.
Yeah, you've got to
working
really
on Rob's stuff.
Especially when it comes to females.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I'm glad because I really like drawing female characters. I like drawing every character, but female characters are one of those particular subjects that are difficult to nail really well. Like it's difficult to draw an attractive female character. So if you can do it, and you know, J. Scott Campbell is a great example of someone who is an absolute pro at pulling that off, then you know it's a good thing. Again, it doesn't happen a lot. Even Jimmy Reyes, who we were talking with the other day, uh, he was talking about the faces of my female characters, and he said it's a bit of a rarity, and he's inked a few people.
Yeah, yeah, he gave you lots of good compliments, which is really good for your ego.
You know,
Yeah, Clayton he's working on his own comic now called Renegade Alpha, working title. And he's in the concept stage. He's done all the thumbnails for the pages. Am I allowed to say that? I've already said it.
Yep.
And so he's just working out the character designs now. I don't know if you've got them ready to go, Clayton, but you could probably show some off now.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, I haven't actually released a comic book ever before. This is the first time. I did have one back when I was in back in uni. And I worked for a indie company called Dark Myth Studios and a comic book called Sergeant Iron. But, you know, that was an experiment, if anything. It was before I'd really got my skill set to the place I wanted it to be at. But I'll show you this guy. He's one of... Actually, I'll get them all up.
Clayton's done most of my concept designs too for Replicator, and they're all amazing. I'm sure you've seen most of them.
Yep. Let's see if this loads up.
This is called... this guy's called Pretty Boy.
Yeah. For some reason, this is... my computer's freezing now. Oh, there we go. So this is Beretta. So we'll just leave these two up for now. So this is Beretta. She's a mercenary, a rebel soldier who is part of this this group of human resistance. And the story is set in a post-apocalyptic world that's been taken over by alien invaders. And you know, these soldiers are kind of part of the few pockets of humanity that are left to fight back against the sarcophage, which is the alien race that has taken over. And in this particular first issue, they're going into to rescue one of their fellow comrades that have been captured by the aliens and has now been experimented on. So, you know, they got to get to him in time before the aliens succeed in their experiments and turn him into the monstrous, wrecking machine that they intend to make him into. And this is one of the latest characters, so I got a bit tighter on this concept. I'm really looking forward to finishing him off today. Actually, he's the
you want to punch.
Yeah, he is. He gets put in his place actually by Commander Slug. But you know, he's always questioning authority. He's a young buck, you know. He's supposed to be the type of character that we will all relate with at the age of, you know, 15, 16, 17, where we don't want to listen to our parents anymore and we think that we know it all. Mm-hmm. He becomes an integral part of the story later on, and it's going to be very fun to see how he grows and evolves along with the other primary characters throughout the narrative.
I hope he gets shot.
Well, you know, maybe he will. But yeah, he's kind of underestimated at the beginning. He's kind of annoying at the beginning, actually. But I like when you have an annoying character that becomes someone that you fall in love with, that you really end up liking. Yeah. And I went a bit tighter on this concept design, as you can see. And Beretta was also pretty detailed, but I wanted to start looking at, you know, how is this comic book actually going to look on the interior pages?
People are loving pouches.
Yeah, man, I told you. People called me crazy.
Is that the secret? You draw a character full of pouches?
Sundin says, Clayton, you have to stop designing sexy female characters because I tend to look for this kind of woman in real life. Oh, boy. Yeah.
it. Smash that like button, subscribe, share this out. All that stuff helps out immensely.
Absolutely. Please do. Smash that like button.
Smash it.
Yeah, the 90s are back.
Any questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, we're going to head off now. So please let us know.
Has anime influenced your design in any way, Clayton?
I would say to an extent it must have, because I was obsessed with Dragon Ball Z growing up, and I later was a huge fan of Berserk, and as I said, a few other animes as well. More darker animes. Like I really love this anime movie called, I think it was Perfect Blue, something like that. It was kind of a horror anime. And I also like Serial Experiment Lane. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that before, but it was kind of the prelude to Facebook, and then what could happen if it completely took over and people were 100% indoctrinated into the cyber world. It was pretty cool.
Are there any Mad Max-like vehicles?
So there will be, but it'll be more like Mad Max type mechs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and aircraft, drop ships, that kind of thing.
When will you be taking commissions again for design? No rush, but I would like to get on that list. Me too.
Yeah, poor Rob. Poor Rob is constantly being denied, unfortunately. But
I gave him the bargain. Now he just doesn't want to work for anyone else.
Yeah, look, it'll happen eventually. It'll probably be more like, if it's. I'm pretty busy with this comic book at the moment, so I might do a cover here and there for someone like Rob who's been waiting for a while. But I'll have to like really make an announcement when I become available again, to be honest. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry. I wish that I could give all you guys more commissions, but gotta focus at the moment.
Wildcard Productions has asked a few times. Any tips on adapting to drawing digitally?
So yeah, that is a tough one, because the thing is, it feels very foreign when you first make the switch from traditional to digital, and so because of that uncomfortable feeling, it can be very easy to quickly put down that stylus and go back to the more comfortable traditional ways that you've been working in. But I would say stick with it at least for a week, and then try and stick with it for a month. And if after a month it still doesn't feel right, then drop it. It just means it's not for you. But I do feel as though it's one of those things that are going to feel uncomfortable in the beginning, and as with anything new, you just got to give yourself time to get used to it. And a lot of it is just figuring out how you like to work digitally. So how much pressure do you find feels comfortable to apply to your tablet when you draw? And at what brush size should you be working in order to get the kind of line that you're looking for on the page? So, it's one of those things, man. When you first try anything new, it's going to feel strange. But you got to give yourself enough time to get used to it.
I've got an iPad with a Procreate app. I've really got to give it more of a go.
Yeah.
Been a little bit time poor at the moment. Poor me.
Totally. So Nayland Malin says, you got any art books you would recommend to learn from? I've got Drawing the Head and Hands by Andrew Loomis and Figure Drawing for All It's Worth by Michael Hampton, but I'm looking for more.
Yeah,
so
get Clayton's book.
That's a good question. Yeah, so we've got a ton of tutorials on how to draw comics.net, obviously. It's a predominantly free resource with premium courses that you can get into when you want to level up your skill set. But in all honesty, I will say that what really was a game changer for me was David Finch's Gnomon Workshop. And he did a series on how to draw the head from a range of different angles, how to draw different bodies, and also how to draw hands and feet. And then along with that, Stephen Platt's Gnomon Workshop also helped me. So if you go onto the Gnomon Workshop, it's a website, and you track down those courses in the illustration category, they're the ones I used. And when I actually went through them and really paid attention and applied what was taught in them, that's when I noticed a significant jump in the quality of my own artwork. But besides that, you know, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is really great. The Andrew Loomis books you mentioned, also really, really good. And who's the other guy? Bridgman, I believe is his name. George Bridgman. He's also has a few good books out there that kind of teach you how to stylize anatomy in an interesting way. So, yeah. All right. What do you use for digital? I bought a Cintiq, but it doesn't work with my computer. That sucks, man. I use a really old tablet. It's just a Wacom Intuos 3, I believe. So it's like 10, 15 years old, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, we used to use them at the uni I taught at, and I took a few home when I quit. So I had a few there to work with, but yeah, it's a really good tablet, and you know, I might upgrade one day. I don't think it really matters what you use. I mean, as long as it works, which in your situation it doesn't. It's more about how you learn to master the tool set that's available to you, because once you've mastered it, that's when you'll be able to do stuff with it.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Cool. All right then. So that's all for today. Thanks again for joining us, everybody, and for all of your wonderful questions. We'll definitely do this again. We had a lot of people tune in for this one, so absolutely awesome. Rob, thank you so much for being here. It was always a pleasure as usual. Until next time, guys, keep on drawing, keep on creating, and we'll see you in the next video, the next live stream.